This kind of looks like a website designed in 2003. Alright, so here's what we're doing today. We're going to take an old app that I designed a couple years back, and then we're going to ask UI and UX design experts to basically design this app better than me. And how am I going to afford this, you may ask? Well, what I did was a couple weeks back, I got in contact with Fiverr, and I asked them if they wanted to collaborate on a project like this, aka like financing my app for me. And they actually said yes, and they thought this was a great idea. So thank God for that, because without them, this video would have left me completely bankrupt. So thank you to Fiverr for actually sponsoring this video. And now let's take a look at what my first design of this app actually was. Okay, so if you're a bit confused about what this app is supposed to be, then this is actually a fitness app that's meant to be a workout tracking app. And this is something that I made back in 2018. And I designed this completely on my own, if you couldn't tell. And you know, some have said that this design is a work of art, and others have said that the design kind of challenges what we thought we knew about beauty. And I simply say that the design combines color and text in a way that has never been done before. And I also think that the design by itself is kind of like a statement piece that really reflects the state of our society. Or in other words, it's complete garbage. It's really shitty. It's a super shitty design. And I think you know the feeling when you go to a website and you open it up and you're like, this kind of looks like a website designed in 2003. So it's not good. Like the design of this app is not good at all. And that's why I wanted to see what actual like professional UI and UX designers would come up with to improve this already really shitty design. I mean, I haven't set the bar very high with this design, but it's what I made and it's what I thought looked good at the time. I don't even know if I did think it would look good. Like right now looking at it, I feel like how could I ever have thought that this looked good? But it's what I created and what I actually released. So anyway, let's see what real UI and UX designers actually can do with this. All right, so the first thing that I had to do was find designers that I thought were good and that were within my budget. And the idea here was also to kind of have a budget that I thought was realistic. So I wanted to try different tiers of different budgets. And I didn't want to go too cheap because I wanted it to be kind of a realistic budget for what someone might have that was actually looking for a good or decent design for an app. And the first one that I found for $120 for the standard package, which I went for the standard package for everyone here, and that is Apps UI UX Digital. And the second one was Hip Inspire for $300. And the third one was CC Creative for $740. And the other part to this experiment thing was also to try to reduce my impact on the final results. So I didn't go for any revisions or anything on these designs, which is something that I need to take up later on in this video, but I just wanted to see what they would come up with as like their first draft or whatever you want to call it for the designs that they would make. So I provided them all with the exact same starting information, which was basically just like, here's the app and please improve it. And there was a little bit more than that, but like that was the basic gist of it, and there wasn't too much more detail in there. So essentially I just limited my impact by providing not that much information to them. So I didn't want my opinions to kind of color the designs that they would come up with. My idea was also to kind of conduct this experiment in like a very scientific way, or in the most scientific way that I could do it, which meant like reducing my impact on the final result of what they would create. I basically provided them all with the same starting message. So I only looked at the first revisions of these designs, and all of these artists actually had multiple revisions that you could get. So keep that in mind when looking at the actual results. All right, so let's take a look at the first design that we got, which was this one by Apps UI UX Digital. I really like this design. I think that this, especially like the color theme on the dark one, I really like that. The green and the kind of darkish gray or black. I think this looks really good. And the thing to also keep in mind when looking at this, like I said, like all of these ones had multiple revisions. So I could have gotten revisions on things like if I wanted this button to be here, or like something to a different icon here or something like that. And I really like this, especially this Analyze tab. because this is something that I wanted to have too in my app, that you could probably make this design into. Something where you could have like for each exercise that you do, you could have details about like how much volume you did for that exercise this week. So let's say that you search for bench press, or like you press bench press, and then you see like, okay, this week you did 300 reps of bench press, or you did X amount of kilos lifted in bench press. So I really like this design actually. I think it looks really professional, especially like comparing it to my design. Like everything here I think will look really good. I also like this part of like logging. This is actually a design that's kind of close to what I had in mind, but I really like the fades and like all of that stuff. I think that looks really good. And then this part of like all of the images, like that's something that I wouldn't have chosen in my app because of the fact that I just don't like. I think this looks a little bit like you're appealing to beginners, but I didn't really provide that sort of information for the designers. If I would have done just one revision on this, then this would have been changed, and this design, like I would be happy to work with this design as the actual app. And what's even more interesting is like this design, which is like the lighter version of it, with the green and the white. That's actually something that looks pretty much exactly the same as my current like updated version of the design for this app. I'm really happy with this, and this guy was also really, like the conversation with this guy was really good too. Like with all of these designers, they've actually been super fast at delivering it, which has been really good. I think this looks really good. Especially like the dark version I think looks really, really good, but that's because I really like dark looking apps. I would be super happy with this, especially for $120 and like 3 days of work is what I think he did this in like 2 days. So this is like, I'd be super happy with this if I was gonna use this for my actual app. So yeah, that's the first design done. Next one, we have the Hip Inspire for $300. What they did essentially was they created one version that is pretty much like just a revamp of my design, so like way better design of that, but just not changing too many things, so like keeping it pretty much in the same fashion as it was for my app. But it's like way more advanced. So then we have this analyze page, which is like, it looks very similar to the page that I have, but it's again improved in like a way better design. They did another design that is completely revamped. This is training history, so this is like the diary tab. And you can see that you could name your different workouts. So power training, swimming, jogging, whatever. And then you get like a calorie count. The next page is actually workouts. So when you do the workouts, you have this little add button up here in the corner where you can probably add in different exercises. And again, this is similar to what I said in the other design. It's like the images. I think it looks really good with the images. It's just that it looks like it's appealing to kind of the beginner exerciser who doesn't really know what they're doing. So that looks really good. And then we have the analytics tab, and here you can see like a little chart line graph. It's the volume of the workouts, I think. And I'm guessing that this, for the final design, they have some idea of like you being able to actually press these things and actually seeing numbers of some kind. And I really like this chart because again, you'd be able to have like, if this was the volume for a certain exercise or the total volume for the week of exercising, this would give you a really good overview of where you were at. And the idea with my app was essentially to create something that athletes could use. So yeah, anyway, I think that this was a really good design. Especially what I like about it is the fact that they came up with actually 2 different designs. So there was one design that was this design that was just for like making the app that I've designed previously a little bit better and like improving on what I already made. And then there was the second version of the design that was just a complete revamp of the entire app. Of course, I like the revamp a lot more, especially for like $300. This is something that would have previously cost you a lot more money to actually get. So I think that $300 for this, I'd be super happy to get something like this. Now let's take a look at the $740. This is quite interesting. They created a login and a sign up page, and I really like the color scheme that they've chosen. Like the blue and this kind of faded blue to like light turquoise or greenish color. I think that looks really good. Yeah, there's even like a fade in these icons. That looks really good. I think that looks crazy good actually. And the fonts and all that stuff Yeah, I think this looks really good. They actually created a profile page as well. This is something that's really good, the fact that they actually on their own created a sign-in page, a sign-up page, and a profile page, and also a settings page. This is something that like they're the only ones that did this. I guess that this is like going above and beyond what I was actually asking for, because I was just asking for them to revamp my app, but they actually created extra pages, which is something that I guess you can expect for $740, but that's really good, and I'm really happy about that. So this is like the main page. And as you can tell, it's a lot more well designed than my design. This kind of fade thing that they have from the green to the blue, I really like that. I think that looks really nice. And then you can see up here you have like a smaller scrollable list, I'm guessing. So this graph could then be used for like seeing all the previous chest workouts, which is something that would be really useful for an athlete to track. I think that's really nice, because you get an overview of the workout and an idea of what you've done with the workouts as well. Let's go to the next page. Okay, so this is when you've probably pressed. I really like this design too that they've done for this thing. I'm not sure. Ah, okay, I see what they've done. So right now, this is the dashboard, and that is this tab. And then we have this tab too, which is the previous workouts, which is this one. Again, this is something that looks very similar to something that I designed myself when I was trying to revamp this app. I really like what they've done here, that each day is marked with this blue dot thing, so you can see which days you've actually worked out. And then you can see a list here of all of the workouts that you've done. I mean, this is scary close to what my design actually was like. My design is not as good at all. It's not even close. My revamped design, so not the design that's actually on the app. I came up with something that's very similar to this. But again, like I said, this design is way better than what I came up with. But it's still like very similar. Like I had these sort of card things for all the workouts, and that was like a list down below, and then I had this sort of schedule thing, or like calendar thing above where each day that you worked out was marked. This looks really, really good. The last page is what they've created into like when you press this add thing here, then you get to log new workout, which is like when you're logging the workout, I guess. This is also really good because this is one of the questions that I had in some of the previous app designs that I saw, is what happens when you do another set with a different kind of reps, but it's the same exercise, and you increase the weight. It looks just super clean, and I really like the color scheme. I don't want to judge anything on like the color scheme, because I think that's something that could be worked out with the other app designers as well, which I also like the color schemes of. But I think this is just something that looks really high quality to me. And then this is probably when you add a new workout or a new exercise, I mean. So here, if you press this thing for add new exercise, then you get to this page. And this thing I really like too. One of the main things that I wanted for my app was for you to be able to name your own exercises. I mean, I don't really have anything to complain about in this app. Like this, I would be super happy for this. All right, so the idea with this video was basically just to do what I just did. So like showcase what you can expect to get for the different price brackets that I chose. And then also to show you what kind of difference it makes when you actually hire a professional UI designer versus trying to design it yourself. And then you can make up your own minds on which design you like the most, and then which budget actually fits your budget, and you can kind of get an idea of what you can expect to get for that budget that you have. And I also tried, like I said, to choose realistic budgets that I think someone that was actually looking for a proper design would kind of have. And I'm really happy with what I got delivered to me, and I think that for all the different price brackets, I kind of got a delivery that I would have also expected for that price bracket. And especially for like the $540 version, like I got really excited about that one, and I really feel like potentially actually creating an update for my existing app with this new design. So if you think that's something that you'd be interested in, then please let me know in the comments, and I'd love to make a video like that. So it may come up either way, but I'd like to see if you actually want to see something like that. And yeah, overall my experience with Fiverr has been really good, and Fiverr is also something that I've used in the past. Like for instance, for this logo for my merch store, calstore.com, is something that I actually got designed by a Fiverr artist. So it is something that I've used in the past, and it's something that I will use in the future as well. So I really cannot recommend that enough. And also if you're looking for freelancers to do work for you, then Fiverr is a really good place to kind of find that. And yeah, again, thank you to Fiverr for sponsoring this video. And I hope that you enjoyed watching this and that you enjoyed this kind of concept or idea of a video. And yeah, that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.